Hey friends and fam, it's John, and this is JMART, your destination for Monday morning insight about physical and financial health. Well, I hope you've had a good week. I come to you with a bit of a heavy heart as I've been following the news about what's going on with not Armenia, but a region of Armenians called Artsakh. Probably most people listening to this, except for my family, haven't heard about what's going on. But it's like this conflict that's been going on for such a long time, since the Soviet times, between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And there's just this region within the borders of Azerbaijan that like a bunch of Armenians live that has never actually been in control of Azerbaijan. Now, after like many months of blockading that region so that the people in there were like starving, couldn't get any supplies, and have been weakened to a point where now military action has been taken place and they've killed lots of people, gotten in and I think taken over the region, and now I think a ceasefire has been signed, and basically the region is going to come under the control of Azerbaijan government, which is like a dictatorial government where the power that this dictator has is through the hate that he generates of Armenians in the Azeri people. It's kind of sad. So sad. But so yeah, I think now basically, many people have already been killed, and now I think if they're going to take over this region, many more will be killed. So I think many are escaping to the Armenian region that's within the Armenian borders, because they know if this goes through that it's just going to be a massacre, just as it's been historically happening. So anyway, I didn't mean to get everyone all, depressed by sharing these news. This is just near and dear to my heart. This happened many times before, but recently, in recent memory, the summer of 2020. And, that was like peak social distancing time because of COVID. And when it happened, it was like double two things that made me super depressed. And it took me a while to feel better after all that was happening. And now this is happening all over again. I didn't pay attention to the news when I heard it was happening. And it ended a lot quicker this time, it sounds like. So there's, initially less lives lost, so who knows. But that region is full of like over 100,000 people, so who knows what's going to happen, right? Like just in the city there's 100,000, I think. Then there's villages that have thousands more, and I think many of them, like thousands of people, are basically going to be refugees now, going into Armenia, homeless. And then who knows what's going to happen there. I guess I just bring all this stuff up just to ask, how is it that Russia can invade Ukraine and there can be like this crazy response? Everyone's got to stand with Ukraine, and Canada's, giving, $9 billion now of aid to Ukraine, and then America's like 10xing that with over $100 billion of aid. And, how is that possible? But Azerbaijan can invade Armenia and no one gives a shit. There's no aid. There's nothing, right? So they just lose in 2 days, basically, as opposed to, Ukraine, where they're fighting it out. I think it's pretty much over there now, too, but at least they lasted longer than everyone expected. Well, I think the answer is because they're using Ukraine, right, for something to benefit for themselves. Like, what is that, though? What is it? I was going on Twitter and I found this video of Julian Assange talking about the war in Afghanistan. And let's see if I can play this. This is what he says about the war in Afghanistan.
use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal, i.e. the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
An endless war, not a successful one. Yeah. Well, very coincidentally, maybe, right after Afghanistan is over, boom, Ukraine starts back up, and, it's almost like the war never ended. Yeah, I think they're doing the same thing. They're just continuing and laundering money. And it was Afghanistan, now it's Ukraine. Armenia's not big enough to wash money through. No one gives a shit. They don't have anything to give. Yeah, so anyway, if you're one of those I stand with Ukraine people, I hope this helps you see things a little bit more clearly. Anyway, moving on to a little bit of a health talk. Today is September 24th. It is the last Sunday of September, meaning next Sunday is going to be October. And if you know me, you've known that for the past few years, I think it's now 5 or 6 years in a row now, I've done Sober October. And I'm going to continue again this year, Sober October 2023. Usually I do, no drinking for the month, and I also do a physical challenge. This year, since I'm doing my half marathon run on October 15th, that's going to be really my physical challenge. I don't want to do some other thing and get me distracted, because I still got to train a little bit for it. So that's going to be my focus, and then maybe afterwards I'll figure something else to do for the rest of the month, but definitely for the first half of the month, I'm going to take it easy and focus on the running and work to make sure my body's recovered well enough to be able to do the 21-kilometer run at a good pace without injuring myself. And then no booze the whole time during the month of October. By the way, if you want to join me and also participate in Sober October 2023, please do so. Let me know. You can message me, send an email to jmartfit@substack.com. You can also message me through social media. All the links will be in the description. By the way, it doesn't have to be, drinking. It could be whatever else, whatever vice you want to give up for the month is fine. If you want to do it, give it a try. I think it's good to take a month off, whatever you might be into, even if you think it's positive for you, just to see what your true relationship with it is, right? Because when you take time off, then you can kind of assess things a little bit more clearly. It's good to have the comparison anyway, with and without. Yeah, that's my pitch for it. If you want to join me, please do so and let me know. If not, absolutely don't have to. It's just a me thing. All right, with that said, let's do a Bitcoin update. All right, as I always do, checking bitbo.io, we see that Bitcoin is sitting on block height 809,218. Price of one Bitcoin is trading at $26,310. And $1 will buy 3,801 sats. And sats are like the cents equivalent in Bitcoin world. So if you have $1 and 100 cents, you have one Bitcoin and 100 million sats. That's how many times one Bitcoin can subdivide. By the way, if you want to support the show, you can do so with sats by listening to the show with a Podcasting 2.0 app that has a Bitcoin wallet as a feature of the app, so that as you're listening, your Bitcoin wallet can send sats to the podcast you're listening to. It can do it two ways. Either you can set an amount for minutes listened, or you can also just do one amount one time attached to a message. That's called a boostagram. So yeah, if you want to support the podcast or play around with Bitcoin, use these Podcasting 2.0 apps. I'll give you some suggestions. There's Fountain, Breeze, and Podverse. If you don't have Bitcoin, if you want to have a few sats to play around with the apps, just let me know and I'll send you some. It's pretty easy to do. All right, I'm going to keep the episode pretty short today and just say that listen to the previous podcast episode from last week where I interviewed my buddy Laserman about his new web platform, Gotoshi.ca. It's basically like an Amazon copy, but the only difference is that you pay with Bitcoin, and it's pretty dope platform. It's just like Amazon, and but like I already said, I'm not going to repeat it, but I've ordered it. I've just bought diapers with Bitcoin, so it's moving in this direction. Like gradually, then suddenly, like the world is going to be full of these kinds of opportunities to use Bitcoin for purchasing things. And, it's great for that, but it's also great for saving your money with. So consider learning about Bitcoin enough to, feel confident in using it for such things as savings or as a medium of exchange for purchasing things. It'll be worth your time. I can guarantee that. With that, we've come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I appreciate you all. Please leave a comment or send me a message at jmartfit@substack.com. You can also reach me through social media. I'm also on Nostr. All the links are in the description. Thank you all. Have a good week. Stay active. Be grateful. JMART out.